And by the way, democracy is always a bad idea. What the fuck are we talking about? Many of you are talking about like how she's a black woman, she's an Indian woman. These are the types of things that American voters care about. This also creates an opportunity to genuinely galvanize the youth vote, to genuinely get the youth vote back into action. But this notion that she's going to energize younger black voters is a silly one when numbers themselves don't show that reality.
So, it looks like Hasan is backing Kamala Harris. After a not-so-shocking dropout from Joe Biden, the eyes have turned on Kamala, and people like Hasan are wasting no time to jump on the coconut head train. He is going as far to say that democracy is unironically a bad idea most of the time, and them anointing Kamala Harris without input from voters was actually the best move Democrats could do. Mind you, this is the same guy that got unbelievably upset when the DNC stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. Now he's being a good little Democrat mouthpiece in saying, "Fuck democracy." Oh, how have times changed. The way this guy used to talk about Kamala Harris versus now that he's on the copium train is honestly something amazing to see. You're gonna love this. Let's take a look at how Hasan responded to the news of Biden dropping out and Kamala taking up the reins. And then let's see how he used to talk about Kamala and see how far down the copium train he has gone down in effort to run defense for a candidate he used to despise.
Do I really think Harris can beat Trump? I think, depending on how this campaign restructures itself and how it messages going forward, yes. Yes, I do. There are so many factors at play, obviously. There are so many factors at play. Who her vice presidential pick is, because people will care about that this time around. Okay? Perhaps a little bit more than they normally would, because this is a unique predicament. But more importantly than that, I think that an open convention is dangerous for an open convention is specifically dangerous because it shows that there is no consensus. True, democracy is always a bad idea. No, democracy comes after in the general election in this circumstance, but even then it's not a real democracy. I'm just telling you guys, if you want my analysis on this, an open convention, and by the way, democracy is always a bad idea. What the fuck are we talking about? In a lot of instances, democracy unironically is a bad idea. You have an unprecedented level of interest in a race that was unimaginably boring and uninteresting for many people who were not interested in voting at all. This is the opportunity for the Democratic Party to put forward some kind of competent leadership and actually use this blank slate in some respects to their advantage. Many of you are talking about like how she's a black woman, she's an Indian woman. These are the types of things that American voters care about. This also creates an opportunity to genuinely galvanize the youth vote, to genuinely get the youth vote back into action. Actually coping. Kamala is not beating him. No shot Lamau. Actually coping. Yeah, get ready for a lot of people basically saying that like she's a woman, Americans are too misogynistic, which while they simultaneously are just being that person.
What do you guys think? Is Hasan coping? Well, what I find interesting is that Hasan has this positive attitude when speaking about the possibilities of Kamala Harris, saying she has the chance to mobilize young and black voters, when just a few short years ago, Hasan was one of her biggest detractors, saying exactly the opposite of everything he said here. Check this out.
It's a good pick. She's young, dynamic, tough debater who knows how to throw a punch, and she will help energize black voters that are younger. If you look at Biden's last event, come on, Lib Bizzle. Like, what the f are you talking about? Energize black voters that are younger? Get the f out of here. Kamala Harris's like appeal for the black vote was inconsequential in comparison to someone like Bernie Sanders. Like, Bernie Sanders had an infinitely larger appeal within the younger black constituents than Kamala Harris did. But this notion that she's going to energize younger black voters is a silly one when numbers themselves don't show that reality. Yeah, Kamala Harris's campaign is done. It's over. We knew that it was going to happen. It was inevitable. She was weak. She was terrible. Who cares? Yeah, officer down. It's a celebration, bitches. It's a celebration. I just did a little bit of obligatory feminism there so that people don't come after me and destroy me. Tulsi Gabbard is also a woman of color. So yeah, I'm undefeated. I am unbeatable. I've never lost, except I've been losing all morning. You know, take the time out, pat yourselves on the back. Because you, unlike the Chris Cillizas, unlike the Nate Silvers, unlike all of the overpaid punditry of Washington, D.C., who claim to always be impartial and claim to always be objective when they're analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of all of the candidates, were wrong. And you, my friends, you peasant, you you degenerate, and I include myself in this category as well, we were right. Kamala Harris is a terrible candidate. We knew it. We, the common folk, not sitting atop our ivory towers, knew exactly how bad Kamala Harris was, and they laughed at us. This is really unfortunate. I thought there might still be time for a comeback. She is now one of the most coveted endorsements in all of American politics. Why? I mean, oh, well, there you go. My man came through already, okay? Chrisman already said it. Why? Why the f does anyone give a shit about her endorsement? Why is she the most coveted endorsement, dude? We're done. This is all I was going to talk about, the Kamala Harris stuff. Good. She's out. Ripperoni. F's in the chat. 21 gun salute. Okay. Officer down. Respect the military. Respect the police officers. Yeah. She's out. Tulsi Gabbard is a fucking sniper, dude. Tulsi Gabbard is a sniper.
Oh, how interesting. So she isn't even mobilizing black voters? And she's such a horrible candidate that you're happy Tulsi Gabbard sniped her out of the presidential race? That's really interesting. I think it's pretty clear Hasan just says what he thinks his audience will respond most positively to. The guy doesn't actually stand for anything. But about that Tulsi Gabbard bit, do you guys remember when she totally decimated Kamala's first chance at running? It's gotta be one of the best moments in debate history.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Now, that's an oof. That's your candidate, Hasan. That's who you're lighting fires of copium for. You know, it's kind of weird that he's all of a sudden forgot everything he said a few years ago in the interest of a copium circle jerk with his community. I think that's really telling, honestly. But it's nothing new if you've watched this channel before. We catch Hasan being a massive hypocrite all the time. But you know what I think would have been really funny? If Donald Trump had picked Tulsi Gabbard as his VP. It almost makes me think that the Democrats might have seriously reconsidered going with Kamala this time. But then again, they really do seem to be out of touch with what voters want. 'Cause from where I stand, it seems like Kamala is hated by everyone, even her own party. Alright, let's go back to Hasan's Kamala copium train and just really hammer home how much of a hypocrite this guy really is.
Is there going to be a Harris-Trump debate? There has to be. Are you kidding me? If Trump doesn't do a debate against Kamala Harris, remember, Kamala Harris actually performed fairly well in the debates, even though she obviously was deeply unpopular in the stacked Democratic primary. But Kamala Harris did perform fairly well in the debate. She had a couple pop-off moments. She is a prosecutor at the end of the day. She will, I think, cook Donald Trump. She will be able to cook Donald Trump. They just got to get her off those downers and put her on some uppers. Okay, they literally gotta swap out. She needs to not be barred out ever again. And then from this moment on, you know, put her in a fucking vat Let her go cold turkey. No more Xanax for Kamala. Only uppers from this point on. I want her fucking cracked out like Hunter Biden on the main stage. You know what I'm saying? Doing cartwheels and shit. Okay? You got the uppers already on deck for this fucking corpse. Give him to Kamala. By the way, Americans may not realize it, but they just witnessed a civil coup. No, dude, this isn't a fucking civil coup. Okay? This is a party actually behaving like a fucking party. Like, it's ridiculous. Biden can technically be VP again. Yeah, he should do it. He should run for VP. It's getting Biden to come to terms with the reality that is in front of the party. Okay? That's it. That's not a coup. They didn't like force him out.
It's not like Biden was forced out against his will or anything. Kamala Harris is clearly the will of the people. Apart from the fact that she couldn't even last till Iowa in her last attempt at running for president. And forget about that bit where Hasan said that democracy is unironically a bad idea most of the time. It's not like that pretty clearly tells Hasan's actual thoughts on the matter. It's not like Pelosi and Obama were working behind the scenes to force poor old Joe out. It's not like the donor class withheld donations to the point he was getting 25% of what he expected. Joe did this all on his own because he cares about this country, guys. Now, let's take a look at how Hasan thinks voters will react to her being a cop as a positive. Then we'll take a look at how he thought about exactly this just a few years ago. I'm sure the takes won't be vastly different or anything.
That's the other side of this. Like, Americans love tough on crime narratives and shit. And it's like, you have a prosecutor, a former prosecutor, like, I don't like that. But average voters are going to look at this and be like, that's a former prosecutor going up against a convicted felon. If Trump was not a convicted felon at this point, that would be a different dynamic. But Americans do care about that.
First and foremost, it's called Why You Shouldn't Support Kamala Harris for the Upcoming 2020 Election, a thread. Okay? Starting with the fact that she is a cop. Okay? This photo, cop. Kamala Harris. 2016 Senate race, Harris raised just 15% of contributions from donors giving less than $200. This is a person, this is very important. To me, aside from her like long track record of being the biggest cop ever, I would say that the fact that only 15% of her contributions came from donors giving less than $200 is really fucking damaging. If you want to know who's bought out a politician, look at who their donors are. Look at how many of their donors are corporations and super PACs, and how much of her funding comes from small, independent campaign contributions. Kamala Harris is a corporate Democrat. Precisely why, before all the other contenders came out, she was seen as the next Hillary Clinton.
You know, that's really weird how this keeps happening. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, guys. Chill out. Hasan is a highly principled individual, and you can totally trust the opinions he presents to you on stream. You have nothing to worry about, guys. He isn't misleading you. You can trust this guy when he's talking about Kamala. He would never lead you guys astray. I mean, he is coconut pilled after all.
This CNN article quotes you as a Democratic operative. Fuck it, I'm coconut pilled. I just want this to stop, said one well-known Democratic operative, referring to an online meme that has taken off from an old video. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? No, chat, that's not me. They did not ask me. Okay, this is an anonymous quote from a Dem operative that is well known. Why would they put me down as a Dem operative? Why would I give an anonymous quote? Your confidence in Kamala seems wild, to be honest. What Americans want is a new ticket. They want someone they can be happy with, and that will never be Kamala. Kamala is new. Kamala is young. Given the if Kamala has a solid team around her, which she currently doesn't, with good messaging, you absolutely could make a decent job out of Kamala Harris.
Interesting. So Hasan thinks you can make a decent job out of Kamala Harris, does he? Sheesh. How times have changed. You know, I wonder how long it will be till he starts deleting these old Kamala videos that make him look so much like an absolute hypocritical buffoon, especially in light of his recent comments. What do you guys think? Am I blowing his hypocrisy out of proportion, or am I justified? Are you guys coconut pilled? Well, if you guys want to see how Kamala earned her spot in the Democratic Party, maybe check out this video I did on Gavin Newsom's sketchy political upbringing and how they climbed the ranks together.